Hello and welcome back to the Münster podcast. I'm your host Charles, joined here with Isaac and Ben. Welcome back to the show, guys. We have no guests on today. It's becoming kind of a trend. I think people are getting slightly disinterested, but that is of no concern to us because today we are talking about white women.
Oh, white women. Oh,
and
no.
you're probably asking, what do you mean we're talking about white women? Probably like a few million,
context.
But we will explain to you our new theory about, well, not theory, but kind of
Theory.
I mean, what would you call it? How would you describe it? Like social concept. There you go.
Yeah, it's
That'll do.
So you have white women, and then you have white women TM. Okay, so you might instantly think, oh, white women, and you might think of like the kind of stereotypical, I guess features that a white woman might have, but we are talking about a very specific type of person. This is it's like a white woman TM, if that helps you know what we're on about. We don't mean the entire group of white women, because not all white women are white women.
Like a Karen but younger.
Yeah, not all white women are white women. It's kind of similar to being a Karen, but the thing is with a Karen is that it has the stigma. Karen has the stigma of generally being kind of like center right or right wing, if that makes sense. I mean, am I making sense here?
Yeah.
But white women TM has no boundaries. You can tell I'm excited about this. I'm excited to reveal this to you guys. So, I mean, let's we talked about this before, but let's start about where it all kind of began. So where did we kind of get this idea for this white woman TM? So before we get onto the real definition and the ways to solve it, I suppose we can talk about that later as well. But how did it really come about? Because I think people no one just sits and thinks, let's racial profile these people.
Right. We were playing EU4. We were like, we were chilling, and then Charles was like, oh, Yemen, and then we were just like, white women are only just finding out about the Yemen crisis, and then I go onto my Twitter, I'm like, I want to look at tweets, and next thing you know, it's women, definitely women, with anime profile pictures because they're ugly white women, and they don't want to show their pictures of pictures of themselves. Like, oh my god, have you heard about the atrocities?
You can be a man and be a white woman.
It has to be a woman. It's the essence of the tweet. So you see, white women also have a specific way that they tweet that makes them.
My god! That's the definition. Let's start on the origins.
Yeah, it was truly awful, and it was like, have you heard about Yemen? It's like, oh wow, it's almost like it's like 400 years too late, and it was like, whoa, I never heard about Yemen. Yemen atrocities bad. I'm gonna post a black square and I'll solve Yemen.
The thing is, they say that the media is talking about it, but the media did talk about it a few years ago, and they completely ignored it then. And now that it's too late, and a lot of people have finally died, they can.
Finally, I mean, the death toll has been consistently high.
Yeah,
death toll has been consistent.
Yeah, I mean, the longer it goes for, the high death toll, more deaths are going to be.
More deaths.
I'm
gonna be completely honest. I am gonna disagree with you there. There has been internal conflict over the white women scholars. Okay. I disagree with that, actually. I think, let's talk about the origins a bit more. So basically, obviously, as you know, we discussed this a bit in the last episode about the whole repost activism thing. We didn't talk about it too much, but we did touch on it, I believe. So we talked about the repost activism and how, not necessarily pointless, but how kind of empty it felt, if that makes sense. And that will link into the definition of our white women TM. But anyway, So because this whole Black Lives Matter thing is happening, a lot of it, to be fair, is built on repost activism. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I personally think it's a bad thing because it completely undermines the kind of severity. Perhaps I don't quite know how. It definitely undermines the main message of the movement if it's mostly made up of white women TMs. Again, you will explain that later.
We just all posted the
yeah, exactly. It's kind of stupid.
It was a mess as well because they flooded their own hashtag with black squares, so no one could actually see proper posts.
So this all came about because so the repost activism was basically like at its all-time high. Okay, it's always happening, but for Black Lives Matter, it was just going mental. But people were just, as soon as they see someone on Instagram, they repost it immediately. I mean, same with Twitter, but we're going to focus on Instagram because that's where the white women like to congregate.
That is their hideouts, essentially.
That is their spawn point.
Yeah.
There's the respawn point for white women is Instagram and Pinterest.
There is a white woman spawner in Instagram's headquarters.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they just come out, and then they download Instagram and then
That's what the 5G towers are for.
Oh my god.
Make more white women.
God. Yeah, exactly.
So that whole repost thing was happening, and as a result of that, people, they want to be like woke. As for lack of a better word, I don't really like using that word, but that's the word I'm using. So they start posting things about Yemen now, and also Libyan slave trade, which I also thought was interesting because that was like a widely covered thing. It was a like this sound a bit cruel, but it was a widely memed thing, and nobody actually looked into it, which I thought was interesting.
We're a few hundred years late on the fucking Libyan slave
trade thing, yeah. So because all that was happening, and actually what a lot of people do, they feel like they're on a moral high ground because they have reposted this thing, okay? And in addition to that, not only is that idea completely flawed because that's not how morals work anyway, but also some of the things would be not factually wrong, but they would be incorrect. Not factually, but they would have certain things taken out of context or things worded in a certain way to make you feel so you know what I mean. They are manipulative posts. Some of them, not all of them.
It's a manipulation tactic.
Yeah, some of them are genuinely manipulative. I mean, and again, it's journalism. I will call it a form of journalism, kind of, right?
Yeah. So
it is kind of the point, but it's just you have to be seriously smooth-brained to not pick up on that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the origins came from. When we saw all these people being stupid, we were like, first of all, it's mainly white women, so that's where we got the name from. And second of all, this kind of attitude, it needs a group name, and white women was the perfect. I mean, you could call it one or two things: white women or Harry Potter liberals. Are you gonna choose one?
Oh my god!
I can't like it.
Harry Potter fan incoming.
The Harry Potter fan incoming. The Reddit moments.
Reddit moments.
So the white woman. Right. Imagine. Middle class. Okay. Secure financially. Okay. They play Animal Crossing. Might be a bit hideous. Might be, pushing the cushion in terms of weight.
I think we all know who we're thinking of right now.
I mean, we might be thinking of a particular person. I mean, they play Animal Crossing. They have to play Animal Crossing.
Yeah, so
white women TM. They have to like cute things.
Aren't necessarily gonna think of the same person. We gotta let them.
But
okay,
that shows that they live in our society.
I mean, they're abundant in our society. At least it seems so. They like Animal Crossing. They like cute things like pets. Probably vegetarian or vegan or something. They have a lot of indoor plants. Many indoor plants, right? They will like one of these 4 large franchises: Marvel, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, or Harry Potter. They have to like one of those 4 franchises. If it's not that, then they will love video games and they will just buy everything. Like, have you seen that meme, that 4chan meme, where someone spent like £100 on The Last of Us 2?
They'll have a huge Funko Pop vinyl collection.
Yeah, and they will consume.
Those 4 brands, it's like the white women political compass, essentially.
Oh yeah, like if you like Lord of the Rings, you're probably like authoritarian, right?
Yeah, you are very right.
Yeah, and if you like Harry Potter, you are libertarian left, 100%. Like you are so like, I mean, Harry Potter liberal is probably its own category. We could talk about that for another episode. Harry Potter liberal. I mean, we did talk about it last episode very briefly.
Yeah.
Harry Potter liberals going mental over a children's franchise. Okay, but it's. I mean, hold on. Are we just describing the like stereotypical millennial here?
I think
that might be it. I think we're just talking about a thing that already exists.
Yeah. Well, but we're categorizing and we're evolving it in our own way.
But the most important thing to observe when you are trying to find a white woman, or trying to identify one more like, I don't know why you want to find a white woman.
Why would you want to find?
Trying to find a white woman is the exact same thing as eating shit and dying.
Yeah.
Go outside if you want.
Yeah.
There's plenty of them.
But also another thing, actually, now that you mentioned going outside, some of them don't go outside. Some of them stay inside, and they just.
I was thinking about while I
said
it.
They will like The Big Bang Theory or Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
They are cave dwellers.
Choose a sitcom. They probably like it. Okay.
Friends.
Oh my gosh, Friends. Yeah.
Friends.
Oh no, Friends is a bit dated though.
Still, Seinfeld. Seinfeld.
They'll love Friends until they see an Instagram post about it saying, actually, it turns out Friends is really racist, or something like that.
Guys, no black characters.
Guys, boycott Quaker Oats. Anyway, not the killing blow, but the main way to identify it, the primary trait of the white woman TM, is that they will be completely oblivious of a certain situation. But then when they see that on Instagram in a very manipulative, possibly misleading post, they will repost, retweet, whatever, share it with their friends. And then they will act like they knew about it all along, but then they'll also make it very clear that they know a lot about this thing, and they also make it incredibly clear that you haven't reposted it, and they have. Okay. And it's just constant reposting, basically. It's just constant reposting. Okay. Right. I just want to make it clear, right? There is absolutely nothing wrong with being very dead set on something and then changing your mind when circumstances change. Like, that is, a completely fine thing to do. Like, if you believed in something and then the evidence changed and your conclusion changes, that's okay. But these people change their conclusions every single day, right? And you guys mentioned this about the black square thing. Sorry, this was so funny to me. They all posted the black squares and they basically ruined the Black Lives Matter hashtag, yeah?
Yeah, because it was flooded with all those black squares.
And immediately people reposted, people that were advocating, please post black squares on the right hashtag, etc, etc, etc. They immediately reposted a 4chan thread of somebody who claims that he started this thing just to ruin the hashtag. Now, I don't believe that, to be honest. I don't think it's true, but the willingness for these people to immediately repost that, it's the white woman culture.
Yeah, it is exactly. What is it? It's exactly what they want. They want that little bit of satisfaction, a little bit of dopamine.
Yeah, they want the little irritation. The 4chan people, whether they did it or not, I don't think they did, because that's, I don't know, it's just not a very 4chan thing to do, right? But either way, I'm not. Well, I can't name names because they have nothing to do with this podcast. But one particular person posts like 20 things a day about Black Lives Matter, and around the time of the Black Square thing, they posted a lot of things about using the right hashtag, and then literally in the exact same day when everyone did that, in the evening, they reposted the 4chan thing. I was like, oh, do you actually think before you reshare these things? Do you know what I mean? I get that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
I saw some posts also, which were also reposted around, and they spread like that. That were basically just saying, if you aren't one of these people who repost these things, then you are a bad person. That was basically the message. Yeah, you're a bad person if you don't repost like this because you're not one.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's completely nonsensical.
Yeah, it's weird because this is what I've always felt like, right? I have my own Instagram, right? I don't want to get political on that. I don't post on it that much. It's kind of just for chatting. But for when I do post, I don't want to push a political message on my own private Instagram. But that's just me. I don't blame other people for wanting to do it. But, surely people should respect the fact that I, don't want to do that, And
I mean,
it's not black and white at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ben.
I don't post very much at all. Why
Ben,
would I?
I'm really sorry, but you didn't post a black square, so you might be racist.
Oh, it looks
Might
like
be
I'm gonna
racist.
be
It
cancelled.
looks like you're about to get killed by the Harry Potter liberals.
Oh my god, they're gonna come in with the wands. They're just gonna poke me in the eye.
You
I'm gonna
Yeah,
you
die.
walk around
mentioned
carrying
this earlier, Ben.
plastic lightsabers.
You
Oh my
mentioned
god.
this. You mentioned this earlier, Ben. Actually, speaking of Harry Potter liberals, I mean, Harry Potter liberals don't live on Instagram; they live on Twitter. Okay,
Yeah.
and you spoke about this earlier. The Twitter things, they speak in a very specific way.
Oh, they do. Oh god, you
They
can
kind
like
of remind me of K-pop stans, who they hate, by the way. The white women TM hate K-pop stans.
K-pop stands.
Okay,
Yeah.
but for whatever reason, that they just K-pop stans, but for Harry Potter and fucking Iron Man and shit, and Chris Evans, right?
Iron Man.
Well, yeah. I mean, they have a love. They
Yeah.
have a love Iron Man. I hate
I
it.
know.
I mean, they love Chris
I'm
Evans
just,
though.
I'm just laughing about the fact that it's like that. Not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They talk in a very condescending way.
Yeah. They do.
Which is absolutely hilarious. I mean, they're incredibly demeaning, and then they post the 4chan thing right after they post the square thing. Like you gotta choose one, okay? Are you a bot, or do you have wrinkles in your brain?
Yeah.
Like, there's no thought behind any of this, right? The white women TM apocalypse is getting worse, okay? And it affects all sides of the political spectrum. I think we can all agree. The white women TM. I think the Karen is the right wing version. The white women TM is just like the umbrella term. Like, Karen is a white woman,
Yeah.
but not all white women are Karens.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be over 40 to be a white woman either. You can be like 9 years old. 9 years old.
Maybe that's a little too young.
It's a
You
it's
get
a
my
massive
point, though.
group. It's a massive group mentality thing. It's like, they don't want to be seen as wrong. So eventually, when one person starts like doing what the whole group's doing, so like basically telling people that they're against them, that they're bad for not doing the same thing, more people are more inclined to do that, so that they're not ousted as bad people. I'm not saying this isn't just simply their opinion, but I guarantee you there are some people who do, like with the blacksmith thing, do post it just because they don't want to be on the wrong end of the group's of the Harry Potter fans' wrath. Put it that way. It's incredibly weird because you've got it can be split into the people who legitimately feel very passionate about it, and then the people who who are part of the group but maybe don't want to be ousted as a bad person, and that's what separates the white women from the
This is what separates the white women from the white women.
Yeah.
Well, it does drown up. Sorry, not drown up. It drowns out.
Drown
actual
up.
Drown up.
actual activism that will be a lot more successful in making a difference, because obviously you can repost this fucking like Instagram picture, yeah, but that will not on its own translate into any actual political change. No matter how many times you repost it will spread awareness. But if all you do is spread awareness, then it won't do anything. And they seem to be spreading awareness so that they can continue to spread awareness.
Even so, at the end of the day, there might be nothing that you can do, no matter how much you want to try. Even if you go and protest, protests are like 1 in a million if they work, really. I mean, if we look throughout history, I mean, even right now, we talked about this last episode. I mean, how much are these protests really going to impact? And I think we all agreed that probably it won't actually do that much, unfortunately. Right?
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, so if we're going to talk about Yemen, right? The problems with Yemen are so out of our control, it's ridiculous. Okay?
Yeah, well, it's not even. I think a lot of it is fueled by it's America's. America are the main people behind it, because they are, at the end of the day, they're the suppliers. So, not saying that you shouldn't speak out about it if you're not American, but you don't have a lot of power to do all. So you can speak out, obviously, but you shouldn't expect change just simply because you speak out, especially when from where we live, we're not the we're not necessarily a problem. We're not the suppliers at the end of the day. We're not the people who are supplying.
I mean, you could argue that it is like a problem of the West. Like, I think there's a decent argument, but for Yemen, I think it's a very American.
Yeah.
and to show just how powerless people really are to change this. And again, I'm going to keep mentioning it, but last episode we talked about the Black Lives Matter thing. How much of a change would it make? Probably not a lot, because the status quo is that these divides have to exist. And like that does sound kind of, we are verging on a kind of Alex Jones conspiracy sort of thing, but at the end of the day, not a lot changes really, which is, is that good or bad? You can decide. Yemen and other Middle Eastern countries that basically get exploited for oil. Let's be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Here.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely right.
We know that.
Other Middle Eastern groups get encouraged by Western nations to act in a certain way, so then the West can take advantage of the resources. That's a very abstract way of looking at it, but in order to simplify it, that's just how I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Because that is a very deep line problem, right? All American politicians and presidents will be interested in exploiting that, okay? Obama, Bush, Clinton, Trump now, all of them are doing this. This isn't something new. This is, we are living in a time where America is the most dominant power in the world in terms of influence, okay? So it's no surprise that in the last 70 years after World War II, they've just been sticking their dick in everything.
Yeah.
Like, they can do whatever they want, okay? So this is absolutely not surprising at all. So if you voted Joe Biden in, if you're like, I'm sad that this current government is exploiting the weak, okay, you get Joe Biden and nothing's going to change, because the same thing happened under Obama.
Yeah, everyone thought he'd end the conflict, but he couldn't.
He made it worse.
But the thing is, right, America have put themselves in this position where they can't not get involved with it, because at the end of the day, it's all about oil and money. And although it's not necessarily all going towards this, they have this massive debt that they have to eventually pay off at one point. And so what they're doing is, if they want to make more money, they exploit the Middle East and they sell guns to Saudi Arabia, which eventually fuels everything that's happening in Yemen. So I'm not saying that this wouldn't happen, but it wouldn't be to this severe rate if America was not in so much debt and in need for money.
Yeah.
I don't think they will ever pay off that debt.
I don't think they need to.
No, they won't. They won't. That's
who's going to make them? They've got a fucking fat army.
Yeah, right. The thing is, right, it is an unpayable debt at the end of the day, because it would have to be over centuries. There's more debt that America owes than there is money in circulation right now. So, in my eyes, it's not something that paid off. I have a feeling that we need to
tactical bankruptcy.
Oh yeah, the guy would lose free stability, and then they're fucked. But in
What's
all seriousness,
now?
Yeah, that's why.
The minus free stability is causing all these rebellions in America.
But I'd say surely the conflict could end, or could be reasoned with, if they said, right, we will veto the debt if you stop doing stuff in Middle East. I mean, obviously, they can obviously just say, okay, we'll do that, and then just not do that.
Yeah, I think...
But there'll be a treaty behind it.
I think the advantages the US gets from meddling in the Middle East is... it sounds weird, but that's not something that they're willing to give up at any point. They have worked hard to get here, okay? Ever since their involvement in the Suez Crisis in 1956, they've been non-stop. I mean, they made Israel, and now they're dealing with it. They helped Saudi Arabia, and now they're dealing with it. They got kicked out of Iran, and now they're dealing with it. They killed Bin Laden, and now they're happy, right?
Yeah.
This is a very long-term thing. This period of Western involvement inside the Middle East, okay, ever since the big empires got out, and now you have fucking whatever, inside the Middle East.
Yeah.
It's completely different. And I wonder how they're going to look back on this period. But all this talk just shows how... I don't know quite how to describe it. Monumental all of this that is happening, right? This isn't just some... I know this is what people are saying. This isn't some small war in some distant land, right? This is all part of a larger picture. And to think that you could just stop it is incredibly naive, I think.
Yeah, it's a massive culture shift.
and that's not to like belittle people who really care or anything. And even the white women TM that are reposting it, I do believe that they care a little bit, right? But the kind of attitudes that a person has whilst they repost it or whilst they read it, and also the attitudes that they have in like a month's time to when they reposted it, just makes you annoyed. Like you don't really care. Like you cared, but like not really.
If you truly cared, you'd be constantly going at this issue. But if
it's just you repost one thing, and then you get told what to repost next, and you got to do it.
Yeah, it was like during the riots, right? One of the main things that was going around was a petition about the George Floyd things. I just think surely people are only reposting this so other people think of him a better person, because there is absolutely no way a petition will do anything.
No,
right?
It won't.
So I don't get it. I don't get it because politics is one of the main places where you're not going to get anything from a petition. You need to, protesting's fine. The petition, people could say, oh, maybe the petition isn't just about, actually forcing to do something, but show the message behind it in all these signatures showing how many people want change, right? But if you don't, like go to the local government or whatever, and like in the US and like say, okay, we want reforms, gonna like put certain suggestions through and all that, which they can do. Like I'm not fully sure on how they do it. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's like a proposed thing where like certain people go, or if it's like,
American politics.
Put legislation through.
American politics. Oh, sorry. Continue. Sorry.
Yeah, but surely people, especially in America, should realize that not only is a petition doing nothing, but surely we should realize we should actually take this to our local government and stuff instead of just putting out this meaningless petition.
Yeah,
that is just degrading.
I mean, the petitions themselves are incredibly vague, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, get justice for George Floyd. I mean, what is?
In what way? In
what way though? Like I agree with the statement, but you might have a different interpretation of what that statement means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like some people are like, oh, reforms. We can do reforms. Other people are like, let's just disband the cops.
Yeah.
Everyone's got different opinions for it, and it makes no sense.
I mean, funny you mentioned cops. I'm literally about to mention that now. God, I don't even know how to start with this. People keep saying ACAB, which for those of you who are listening who don't know, it means all cops are bastards, right? And okay, let's do an analysis of ACAB. Okay, what does that mean? That means that every single policeman is a bad person. I mean, am I wrong? Am I wrong? Can you tell me that I'm incorrect with that interpretation? Okay.
The way you've interpreted it is completely right.
Yeah, but then, why on earth do they say that? The white women TM. Yeah. Okay. These white women who have probably never suffered at all in comparison to the people who are the victims that they're reposting about, by the way.
Yeah.
Why on earth do they then repost a very condescending and kind of ridiculously worded post explaining how all cops are bastards actually means we want reform?
That's dumb.
Okay,
so dumb.
You could have the same energy. Like, the same person who wants reform could also say all cops are bastards, right? But the statement literally means all cops are bastards. It's a very simple statement that explains itself. So why on earth does that not mean what it means? Like, if I say I'm going to take a shit, and then you're like, no, you're not. I mean, no, sorry. Sorry. If I say... Right, listen. Right, listen, right. If I say to you, right, I'm gonna have a shit, and then you're like, why are you saying that? I'm like, oh, sorry, I actually meant reform the police system. That's what they've just done.
Yeah. But you put in the most extreme way.
Okay, right, but that but it might as well.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
might as well be going around chanting. They might as well have been going around chanting, saying Olivier Giroud, welcome to Brighton. And then when you ask them why are you chanting that, it's like, oh, we want to put reform in the police system because you've got Okay, it's not even as. Like, you could interpret Olivier Giroud, welcome to Brighton, in many different ways. Is he coming to the club? Is he coming to the city? Like, what's going on here, right? There is no interpretation behind all cops are bastards, because it's very direct and simple. The statement literally explains itself. It's not like you said all cops, full stop, or something.
Yeah.
All cops are what? All cops are, full stop. No, you said all cops are bastards, right?
Yeah, you've categorized them
You've
all.
seen, like, I mean, we could do this, if you want, Ben.
Yeah.
All cops are bastards. We can make a post, okay? And then say, oh, actually, it doesn't mean we hate all policemen. It means Olivier Giroud is coming to Brighton on a free transfer in the summer.
Truly a great way to welcome Olivier Giroud.
Welcome Olivier Giroud to bastards. What?
Bastards.
to Brighton. They might, yeah, but that's the kind of. I don't understand that. I see, okay. I don't care if you seriously hate all policemen, okay, and I also don't care if you dislike the system and not the individuals involved themselves. I have no problem with either of those views. I don't care, right? I seriously don't care at this point anymore. I'm just that sick to death of hearing about this now. But if you literally say one statement and add an interpretation from a different statement, then why didn't you just say that other statement in the first place?
Yeah.
I understand that
it's
saying.
So
I understand that saying all cops are bastards has more venom than welcome Olivier Giroud to Brighton.
Yeah.
But you see what I mean, right? It's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's genuinely just dumb.
It's the statement in itself is incredibly damning, right? Because essentially, the same people who say who are like, oh, people should not be categorized in one group and be judged as individual people are the same people who would say, oh, all cops are bastards. That's dumb, right? Essentially what you've done is you've just gone, right, this group, they're all the same, right? You take that with most other groups and you'll be outed as saying, maybe you're a racist, you're a
all nurses are bastards.
Yeah, all women are bastards. That makes no sense. You've categorized every single woman as being the same. It's dumb, and it's the same with the cops.
Whilst we talk about white women TM.
Right, yeah, right.
Then we've already specified that that isn't every single one.
Yeah, but it's dumb, right? It's dumb because you've basically said we want reforms, but all cops are bastards. That's saying all cops are wrong. That cannot be true. There's absolutely no way that every single cop in America is bad. That's such a dumb statement. It's such a dumb statement.
It's just listen, I would have no problem with people saying that, okay? I mean, probably the same problem that you just described, but in terms of if people literally said it and they meant what they said, I would have no problem. But the nerve of some people to say one thing and then have it actually mean another, I don't understand. Somebody, like, if you're a Harry Potter liberal or a white woman watching this right now, well, first of all, Harry Potter fan incoming, but second of all, please explain to me what that means, because I've read all these posts, okay? They're not sophisticated, it makes no sense. I mean, how else are you supposed to interpret it? It's like when religious people go on about, like, oh, when it says fuck a goat, don't actually mean it.
Yeah, well, it literally, the message would be more clear if you just said, where we want reforms on it, but instead we've gone, you know what, let's try offend people, let's try put some venom into our message, but the message, like the whole actual message behind the abbreviation is completely lost because
it's just
a different
incorrect.
meaning.
It is the words, okay, right? The joy of language is that there are many words to choose from. There are thousands upon thousands of words that you can choose to form a sentence, and to apparently to express your opinion for wanting complete reform of a very corrupt system, you say all cops are bastards.
It's dumb.
I mean, it makes no sense.
It's a different. They're two different messages.
They're two different messages completely. So that is a very common thing of the white women TM is to just be sometimes very incorrect, and also a lot of the inconsistencies that come from white women messages is purely logic based rather than knowledge based, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So they will say one thing out of the context that it's in, or they'll say one thing and not acknowledge the other. They'll have this kind of like confirmation bias, basically. They will only know information that will support their argument, basically. So, and this is about to sound ridiculous, but when you see Ben Shapiro compilations on YouTube,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason Ben Shapiro does so well. It's because he knows everything. He knows evidence that would support things on both sides and how to neutralize things on both sides, right? Which is why he's so overwhelming. These Harry Potter liberals don't have that. And it's kind of embarrassing when you see them fight on Twitter. Like, when you see Alfie on Twitter, you could classify Alfie as a white woman TM, to be honest, as well.
He's a Karen.
He's a Karen. He's a white woman TM.
Yeah, yes.
He's a white woman TM. I mean, if Alfie probably not listen to this, but if you are, you're a white woman TM. When you see him fight on Twitter, it's just nonsensical, illogical arguments that just go in a loop. It's completely baffling.
It's what whenever they get into an argument, they will have a decent knowledge of their own. Have any knowledge? Can't understand. They can't comprehend why people would, have this other opinion, and so because they have absolutely no idea about this other opinion, they just lambast them with like their own knowledge, but we don't address the argument at its core, and then that ends up just be this mess of a fight where eventually the person who's trying to take more of a neutral standpoint ends up looking better because they know more, and for some reason people decide to start arguments with only knowledge of their own side, which isn't how arguments work.
Yeah.
Because you can be like, okay, I can understand. Most arguments like, hey, I can understand why you believe this, and there are like positive things to this. However, this can have this added effect. That's not how arguments end up going. Like a good end-to-end argument ends up going, but that never happens with the white woman trademark because they always end up only mastering their own knowledge.
A really good example of what we just talked about in the last sort of 7 minutes or so about these like one-sided kind of mindless knowledge out of context things, right? I told you. Oh my god, how to use it? I talked to you about this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was an Instagram repost, of course, by a white woman TM of a post. A Twitter like thread screenshot, because all these reposts are like tweets that have been screenshotted and put on Instagram.
Yeah.
And there were 4 photographs of various events in the American Civil Rights Movement in the 50s and 60s and 70s, I believe, all in full color. And the caption was that school textbooks and books in general would deliberately leave out colour photos of these events to make it seem like they were a long time ago, and which is an example, or possibly an example of like systemic racism, to make you think that these, events were a very long time ago, and injustice wasn't that long ago. That message, I believe, it does kind of make sense. It was 70 years ago. It's not very long, not even 70. It wasn't very long ago that black people were genuinely oppressed unfairly, okay?
Yeah.
Here's the problem with that post. Firstly, the photos that they had attached, there was some problems with them. Actually, hold on, let's start with the main component of this argument, okay? Colour photography was invented in 1906. That's what the tweet also addressed, right? So why is it that these photos aren't in colour, in like the famous versions of these photos are in colour? So the photos included, there's the Martin Luther King March on Washington, for example. We all know about that one, okay? Right, here's the problem. Colour photography, invented in 1906, wasn't widely popular until 1970 because it was cumbersome, it was hard to do, and it was risky. I mean, that explains itself.
Like it was decently expensive as well. So,
exactly. That one explains itself pretty clearly. So that's the first point negated. Wasn't popular until the 70s, which at that point, Martin Luther King, unfortunately, I think he was dead. He got assassinated in like 1969.
Yeah.
And a lot of these civil rights movements, while still very active, and they were very monumental in the 70s too, the 60s and 50s, obviously the most famous parts, okay? Second point, okay? One of the photos of the 4 was colorized, okay? And the fact that this person reposted this is completely I don't understand. It was so obviously colorized, okay? And for those of you that don't really like look at colorized photos, like historic photographs and stuff like that, you might think you're being a bit harsh here, okay? But the thing is with colorized photos is that you can so obviously tell when they're colorized because the color palette is wrong normally. It will be like washed up. It's like watching a Marvel film. The colors will be completely washed out and it will look unnatural. Okay?
Yeah.
So one of them was black and white. So they already got that wrong. Okay, and that particular photo was a very famous photo anyway. It was a black girl called Ruby in Louisiana walking out of a school that had just been desegregated or something like that. It was like a Louisiana school protest against desegregation, I believe. Okay, the other photos were, and that was in 1955. Okay, and the other photos, one of them was of Montgomery and Selma in the 60s. One of them was a march in Washington, also in like 1963, I think. I'll probably got that wrong. And the other one was just an unknown protest, but I believe it was like a housing protest. Again, in the 60s, okay? All this is before colour photography got popular. So that makes no sense, right? But let's just go along with the argument that everybody had colour photographs and they're not using them to make it seem like it's a long time ago. Which, by the way, that reasoning also... I mean, what do you think about it, Ben?
Well, the thing is, right, people say it's a long time ago, that's a bad thing. I don't think it necessarily is a bad thing, because he's saying it's a long time ago. Could show that it was a long time ago when we had all these problems, but we've moved past it. We don't want to look at that. It was a long time ago. We've changed, as them saying, we've changed as a country, and we're stepping in a forward direction.
Mm-hmm.
Those past things, those past events were terrible, and obviously putting them... Say that we're a long time ago, essentially, is saying that we think that those times ago were backwards and we don't agree with them, and now we're showing that we're moving forward as a country.
My main gripe with that whole argument is that it relies on the person who's reading this book with the photographs in it to only to 100% believe that if it's in colour, it's modern. If it's in black and white, it's from the olden days.
Yeah,
okay,
well.
And the fact that the argument hinges on that one assumption is completely ridiculous, right? Because no offense, right, but you don't have to be like a historian or something like that to realize that just because it's in black and white photography, it's from a very, very long time ago, not even like close to us in modern day. To have that kind of logic, like, with all due respect, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you are a bit backwards.
You're an idiot, right? Photography is very new. It's a new technology still.
Yeah.
Like, it's like 180 years old. It's not actually that old, right?
Well, yeah, and to think that for only 50 of those years it's been colorized as well.
Like mass used colorized.
Yeah.
Again,
mass used colorized.
In those years where photography existed, it wasn't even used en masse because, again, it was hard to use. It was expensive. It was risky to do. Okay?
Yeah.
And also, I'd like to say, right, World War II let's be honest, it was like an imperialist massive brawl between all these empires, okay? Why are they all in black and white? Is it because it's a long time ago? World War II wasn't a long time ago. It's like 75 years ago. It was not that long ago, right? And because, if we're going to be frank about it, it's a white man's war, okay?
It
right?
is, yeah.
Why are they all in black and white then? Okay?
Yeah.
You put an event in black and white to make it look bad. So why would the white men do... use your brain. World War One as well. Like, that is a very white man's war. But anyway, the final nail in the coffin for this whole argument is that school textbooks are all in black and white.
Yeah, they are, because...
They print them in black and white because the school textbook industry is incredibly... it's like a Scrooge industry. Okay, I mean, there's a reason...
And the books are so expensive.
There's a reason they cost like £70 or something for like 2 textbooks. And they're in black and white so they can save money. Use your brains! Use your brain... Like, this is the white woman TM problem here. They just repost. It's just that, that looks bad, I guess. I don't know. Repost.
There's one post I actually want to particularly talk about, which is why Lenin is trending actually. This woman, her name is Charlotte Klimmer. She also has a pride flag in her profile, and she's also verified on Twitter. So the tweet goes...
One of those things are a good sign.
Exactly. Right.
That is all
Goes,
building up for the white woman TM.
Right. Hi. Pics of the Lenin statue in Seattle are being passed around among conservatives. A few quick notes. One, it's privately owned and situated on private property. That doesn't matter because the people who are mobbing, don't respect that. I'm pretty sure, right? All the ones that were, tore down were still on private property. Right. The second one, it has, in fact, been frequently vandalised. I don't understand that point, really. Because, it's kind of dumb, because people are asking it to be torn down and then using the argument it has been frequently vandalized doesn't really hold any grounds. I don't understand what the point is. I think she's like, people do disagree with it. All right, we already knew that by the fact people are asking it to be torn down. I don't understand the point. And the third one, which is the worst one, this is awful. Lenin was not a slave owner, you Confederate apologist fucks. That is the worst argument. That is one of the worst things I've ever seen. You don't have to be a slave owner to be a terrible person, right?
You could also be a communist maniac.
Yeah, you could technically enslave your own population, right? But obviously not. You don't have to want a Lenin statue to be a Confederate apologist. That is dumb. I'm not up for tearing down statues, but if we're tearing down Churchill, we should be tearing down Lenin's because
he's just Russian Churchill.
Awful. Yeah.
They're both about each other, really.
Yeah. Right. He killed so many people, right, and basically enslaved his own population through the Gulag system. Basically mass murder, right? If we're taking down the Confederates, if we're taking down Churchill, we should be taking down Lenin. Why this person feels the need to defend Lenin, I will never know.
Why is there a Lenin statue in Seattle?
I don't actually
That's like having
know.
That's like having a Ronald Reagan statue in Moscow.
I doubt he's been buried there. Although
No.
I don't fully know.
Lenin's in Red Square.
Right,
He's got like a mausoleum for him, like an embalmed body. He's like preserved. It's really weird.
Yeah, I also have
a Lenin statue in Seattle.
I don't know.
That game on the Google Play Store, Lenin
Oh my god, embalming Lenin game.
There's a lot to.
I think it's been taken down now though, which is.
There's a lot to say about Lenin. I have a lot to say about what happened with America and all that, but that's for another podcast. The fact that you're gonna say Lenin is above these other terrible people is just simply wrong, right? This is a definite definition of white woman
white
tweet.
woman, yeah.
Yeah, it is awful, and it's people like this who are they're so dumb. They're so dumb. It's this cultural revolution, right? Because it is essentially like the millennial revolution. And it's changed our culture a lot, right? Shit like this shows why we're going backwards. It is such a backwards argument. I don't understand why they feel the need to defend Lenin.
Social media has killed us, basically.
Yeah, it has, and it's awful. It's awful. One of the worst tweets I've ever seen. I mean, this is up.
Sorry, go on.
This is up with "boomer" is like the N-word tweet, which
oh
got
my
ratioed.
god, yeah. I mean, the boomer is like the N-word. It's also a white woman TM moment. There are no survivors when it comes to the Münster podcast identifying white women TMs. Okay, we're not just saying bad things.
We are
about,
experts.
Yeah, we're not. We have we're not just saying bad things about these particular incidents because they're like centrist or left wing or anything like that. White women TM has no mercy. Does not care what political ideology you subscribe to. Everyone can be a white woman TM. Even we can be white women TM. You might be watching this now and thinking, Jesus, look at these white women TMs.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not us though, because we have PhDs in white women.
Yeah, we are literal experts.
We coined the phrase.
So if you say that we are, you're wrong because I have a PhD.
You're a white woman.
Yeah, I'm gonna make.
I'm gonna hit you with I know you.
The new boomer, the white woman. It
is essentially the boomer of our generation, right? Because everyone's like, okay, boomer, right? White women are like of the same level of boomers. Where the cultures after us will look back and say, God, white women were basically
Jesus.
like the boomers.
Jesus, white women.
Jesus, Lenin statues. Oh, dumb people. Dumb. It was dumb.
I can't believe that's real. That has to be satire.
No, you know what? I'm actually gonna look up the account. I'm actually gonna do my research and see if this is true.
The White Women TM investigators.
Right, I'm gonna look at it. Charlotte Climmer, are you a fucking retard or are you just joking? Okay. I think it's real. The pinned tweet is about Trump's administration inflicting shit on transgender and non-binary people. I think it's real.
I think it's real.
I think it's real.
Well done, everybody.
Well done.
We just identified another white woman.
Right, it's time to pillage her home. Anyway.
That would be a white woman thing to do, though, destroy someone's house. Anyway, I think that just doesn't. That is about it for white women, and I'm quite pleased with the way we went about doing this. I thought perhaps we've just gone for too long, but that does it very nicely there. Any final words, Ben or Isaac?
I hate white women.
White women bad.
White women bad. Orange man bad. We are also NPCs, by the way, if you haven't noticed. White women bad. Thank you for watching the Münster podcast, and hopefully we will see you next episode. Hopefully you are not a white woman, and if you white woman, and if you are a white woman,
Stop being white right now.
Actually, before we end, there's one more requirement for a white woman. They are in constant denial about the fact that they are a white woman, okay? So if you are watching this, and you are probably a white woman, you probably don't know that you're a white woman. It's like a paradox, you know?
Yeah.
It's not a paradox, what am I on about? Anyway, thank you for watching the Münster podcast, and hopefully we'll see you next episode.
White women.